Let's go ahead and get started. I'm in a different setup today, so we might have a little bit of a distraction behind me, but that's okay. What I'd love to do is just to make sure, please, you did receive an email earlier today that was in reflection of what activities you need to be doing, making sure that you're reporting out your numbers in the 3612-3 performance tracker. Remember that half of this, actually majority of this, is about the accountability aspect of reporting out your numbers. It has somewhat to do with the content that we talk about, but the content itself, just learning this content, is not what's going to get you the 36 closings a year. It is making the daily commitment to 3 hours of lead generation every single day, right? So just being very clear about that process and those expectations. So please go ahead and update your numbers if you haven't already. Seeing a couple successes. We've had some closings within the last week, which is really awesome to see. Congratulations, Kelly. Congratulations, Yvette. Congratulations, Kibby and Pam. All are really great things, and we want to celebrate those and making sure that we're hitting our 3 every single month, right? To get to that place is going to be really, really awesome as a minimum of those 3 transactions. Okay, so let me go ahead and pull up our material so we can get right into it. Today is on a very special topic I'm sure that all of you are super excited about. That is to be focused on our lead generation by leveraging a powerful contact tool. So understanding this process in this power session, we're going to be doing our introduction about the content, understanding the importance and the power of a database, what it looks like to build that database every day, to feed it every day, to communicate with it in a systematic way, and then to service all the leads that come your way. We're going to wrap up with some final thoughts on that, and then we're going to be putting everything together into an action plan that works for you. So right from the beginning, talking about the introduction, I do want to stop screen share for a moment so that we can talk about your lead generation activity. So go ahead in the chat box for me. Tell me go ahead and itemize list the lead generation activities that you've done within the last 24 hours. Go ahead and put that in the chat box for me. Make sure that it's to all panelists and attendees so that everyone can see your answers. Yes, so Yvette, that would be from yesterday to today, the last 24 hours. What lead generation activities have you done? Go ahead and list them out for me. Okay, so Genoa said that her list is short. She's only reached out to one person who contacted her earlier today, and that she's been busy getting her listing ready to go live tomorrow and showing some homes to buyers. Yvette said that she started a campaign for her under contract. I'm assuming that would be a campaign in command. Bart says that he's done circle prospecting calls, door knocking, emails, and text messages. All right, Pam said phone calls to Sphere as well as phone calls. So phone to current listing. Tell me a little bit more about that, Pam. Is that calling people who live around the listing? Is that calling the seller who owns the listing? Tell me what phone to current listing means. And then Yvette said leads have been generated each day on that campaign. Okay. While Pam's answering that for me, as you're listing out what you've done, I also want to make sure, as of right now, I have not heard from Kibby, and I've not heard from Linda Anderson. There you go, Linda. She called and texted 3 leads, and Kibby ran away. She called and texted 3 leads through Facebook. She spoke to 3 leads through open houses that she did, or through the open house that she did on Sunday. Okay, Yvette said that she's sending postcards for her sold townhome via command. So when you say sending, have you already completed the order and command just needs to mail it out, or is this something that you are getting ready to do? Because remember, the question specifically is, what lead generation activities have you done within the last 24 hours, right? So what are your ahas around the activities that you've done within the last 24 hours? What are some takeaways by just reflecting? So I'll ask that question again as you're typing, just in case you didn't hear it. The question is, what are your ahas around the activities that you've done within the last 24 hours? Okay, so Bart said that working around current listings seems to be more effective than just cold calling without a reason to call. Okay, good observation, Bart. What else? Okay, Linda said that she's finally starting to see some fruits from her labor of being able to actually speak to people that she has been working on for a little while in her nurtures. That's great news, Linda. What else? Give me one more and then we'll move on. And as we're waiting for that third aha, understanding that this is from the perspective of what activities do I need to do for the rest of the week as a reflection of the work that I've done within the last 24 hours. Am I on track for my goal and my performance? Am I on track for my goal in terms of leads generated? Am I on track for my goal for appointments set? Was I as effective as I needed to be? This is not Catholic school, right? So we don't need to worry about the guilt aspect. It is just simply taking stock of where we are and then moving into the direction of getting into production and making sure that we are adjusting our sales correctly so that we're going in the direction that we need to go, right? Pam said that productive for her business of making money by closing, but not as much phone calling to Sphere because she has been trying to close and begin for her new listing. Right, so always remembering that we are in two businesses. We're in the lead generation business and we're in the real estate business. And oftentimes the real estate business is going to want to do everything in its power, so is your subconscious, to fill the space of lead generation, right? So we want to make sure that we get back to a place where we are functioning at a high level and that we are always taking stock of, am I working completely? Am I clocking in and clocking out of my lead generation business before I clock in and clock out of my real estate business, right? Making sure that we're adopting that mindset. Okay, so getting into our content for today. So understanding those things, understanding what's the most difficult part of those activities around lead generation. And many of you have already answered that, which is finding that balance between working on your business and working in your business, right? The lead generation aspect versus the business that we already have that's going to give us the money for today. Another question that's here that I want you to be thinking on is, what will I do differently in the next 24 hours as a reflection of my ahas, right? So where are we? We're still in the foundational aspect of building our house, and yet understanding that we're almost to the 5 pillars of our business, right? So we're in the foundation, we're on number 4, which is leveraging a powerful database. Last week, we spent quite a bit of time talking about marketing in the 21st century, marketing in the year 2020. What are the adjustments that we need to do? We've talked about prospecting, always going back to the basics, understanding the activities that are going to yield us the highest income results. We've talked about validity and positioning based on our unique selling proposition and how we can connect with our people. Right? And so today is all about leveraging that database, taking those conversations from our lead generation activity and building a system in place that's going to allow us to make the money that we're looking to do. So what will make this a great training experience, as always, is participation, right? Making sure that you are undistracted, and then we are taking this information and we're putting it into an action plan. So understanding the power of a database. So the truth is that the heart of your business is your database, and the heartbeat of the database is going to be the regular contact that you make with those people. So we want to record contact information from your leads. We want to track your interactions with them, and then we want to assign them to appropriate marketing plans. This is one of the biggest things that I hear. Oh, I've talked to a lot of people. How many? What did you talk about? Are you keeping records of the things that are happening, right? A good friend of ours who's in our database just became a grandfather. Do I have that information in the database? Have I set a task reminder for the administrator to go to the store or to go into our filing cabinet, grab a congratulations, it's a boy conversation or card and sending it to him for being a grandfather? Are we doing those activities, or am I keeping it in my head? Am I keeping it in my head and so saying, instead of doing the nice thing, that would be to send either edible arrangements or to send a card, I'm just going to send a text because it's easier and I don't want to wait any longer? Am I delivering the highest level of customer service if I choose the easy answer of sending a 2-second text as opposed to going the extra mile? This is everything to do with the database, because we're just not going to keep everything in our head. So understanding that when you hear of doctors or lawyers selling their practices, what is it that they're actually selling? They're selling their database of patients and the relationships that they have built with the people in it. The reason why someone who's primary care doctor, if there's a new doctor that comes into place, mainly the reason why someone is going to stay with that practice, even if the doctor has changed, is because they value their doctor so much and they put value in their opinion of this new doctor, and that's why they're going to keep with that person, right? So understanding this process is the exact same thing for you. If you got into this business not necessarily thinking that you would be selling your database, I want today to be the very last day that you thought that way. I want everything to be that the last day that you get a paycheck is way after you die, and it is not going to be like most realtors that the last time that they take the sign out of someone's yard, that's the last paycheck that they ever get, because they don't work a database. They don't have repeat referral business. They don't sell that database. They don't sell those relationships to another agent. Instead, they just kind of close up shop. There's no reason to put years of your life into a business if you're not going to be able to capitalize on it, right? We are a part of a capitalist society. It's what we do. You put your blood, sweat, and tears. It's not about you. It's about the service that you can deliver. Let that be your retirement. Sell that business and get that repeat referral business, right? So some of the database tools, you can use 3x5 index cards. You can use electronic spreadsheets. You can use personal information managers like Microsoft Outlook or your Google address book. You can do database management systems. You can do a contact management system. As many of you know, the spreadsheet, the personal information manager, the database management system, and the contact management system are all formed into Command, the tool that we use here at Keller Williams. So that is a great tool that you can use for that database. But to be quite frank, is what is the best type of database tool for you to use? The one that you will actually use daily and use it systematically. I personally don't care if you use a Google Excel sheet. I don't care if you use a Word document. I don't care if you use a Rolodex. I just want to make sure that it's I do care, because I think that all of those tools have blind spots, or they only have capability to a certain extent. And I think that ultimately you'll find that you either have 9, 10 tabs open at all times, different programs that you need. in order to do the same thing that Command can do, or something that is going to be a central database. So just be mindful of that. I know that there's probably some people on here that either A, haven't completely fallen in love with Command, or they have another system that they use. I personally don't care as long as it meets all of the needs that you have for a database and that you use it systematically to communicate with your people. Understanding the laws of the database is that there are 4 laws, right? We want to build a database. We need to feed it every day. We need to communicate with it in a systematic way. And then we need to service all leads that come your way from that database. So building a database, it's not just the business of servicing clients. It's the business of finding clients to service, right? So understanding that the size of your real estate business over time will be in direct proportion to the size and quality of your database. This is why you hear us say all the time that your database is your data bank, or that your network is your net worth. In this business, there is a direct correlation to the health and vitality of your database, to the amount of income, residual income, and compound interest that's going to come about from your database itself. So here is Lake Database, right? And so this is the idea that your contacts come from everywhere. They come from random conversations. I was having a conversation with Doug about an hour ago. Doug was downstairs at the nail place getting his nails done, and he now has a buyer, right? Just from that moment. So the random conversations, it comes from open house visitors, it comes from friends, family members, business relationships, business networking events. It comes from expired listings, for sale by owners. It comes from responses on social media, right? Responses to advertising, the campaigns like what Yvette's doing, making sure that you're doing client appreciation parties, yard signs. There's a constant source of where your business is going to come from. And when we track it effectively, then we can know where should we be putting our money? Where are we putting money that we're not seeing a return on investment? Where could we potentially increase our profitability by just redirecting some of our budget to the areas that are necessary, right? So understanding that we are building our database with a series of people, and those people typically fall into 2 categories. They're either people that we haven't met yet, or they're people that we have met, right? So haven't mets are going to be the general public, or it might be a target group that we haven't had an opportunity to meet. Maybe this is in a particular geographic farm area. Maybe it's the parents at your child's school. There are different areas that it can come from where it is a target group of the general population, or it could just be from Gen Pop, right? And then there's also our METs. So these are already people that are a part of your networking group. They're your allied resources. They're your advocates, your VIPs, and then your core advocates, right? These are the people who are the hound dogs. They're constantly looking for an opportunity to share the good word about you and your business and how people can benefit from it. So we need to know, is this person a MET or a haven't met yet, right? So understanding that METs equal repeat, referral, and new business, where haven't METs typically will equal new business, or if they're not ready at the moment, they can still provide referrals to us. We're not going to get a repeat business, obviously, from someone we haven't met or haven't done business with. And so understanding that the quicker we can move the amount of METs to be larger than the number of haven't METs, we will find repeat, referral, and new business in a constant, where it's less about getting to know people for the very first time, and instead it's about getting into relationships with people so that we're already staying in contact with the people that we've already met, right? So how large should your database be? Well, following the model from the Keller Williams University course Ignite, making 10 contacts per day, every single day, means that you'll have about 2,000 people in your database in 200 business days, right? By adding 10 people a day, every single day. Now, remember that the database doesn't have to be 10 new people to you that you've never met every single day. It means 10 new contacts into the database. So if I have people in my email, and I have people on Facebook, and I have people on LinkedIn, but they're not in my Command database, then I need to pull them there. And so instead of just spending 1 8-hour day trying to do as much as possible and then not doing anything else for 3 months, it's about building the habit of adding those people to your database every single day. That's part of the reason as to why during our 3 hours of Legion also includes updating the database with the information from our conversations, right? So then we need to classify those haven't mets and those met. So continually, we need to be moving our context towards becoming core advocates, because we know, based on the 80-20 principle, right, from the very first class, we know that 20% of our database is going to lead to about 80% of our business or 80% of our income. We want to love on those 20%. And then as that 20% gets larger, then we know that we need to continue to build our systematic way of staying in front of them. Right? So some of the ways that we have an ability or sources for finding our Met database is going to be family. It's going to be friends. It's going to be neighbors. Who do I know from the neighborhood? Who do I know from home? Who do I know from school? My kids' school, from my old school? Did I have people that I went to college with? Are there people that I went to high school with that I still want to be in communication with, right? Are there people that I do business with on the regular, like the person downstairs at the nail place, like my server at my favorite restaurant, like the woman who gives me my dry cleaning, right? Like what are the people that I do business with? Where am I a patron? Do those people value my money? Do they value my patronage? And can I make sure that they know that I'm in real estate? Right? What are my sports and hobbies? What are my spouse, partner, significant other's sports and hobbies? What are my kids' sports and hobbies? Do I know these people? Maybe I know them from afar, but I've not had an opportunity to have a conversation with them so that they know that I'm in real estate and that I can help them, right? There's a gentleman where we live. We were in the pool on Saturday and he came in and he said, hey, you know, I'm going to be having back surgery or actually leg surgery probably in October or November. Do you know anybody who has a short-term rental that I can recover? Because I need to be on a single floor, maybe just a 1-bedroom, 1-bath, doesn't matter. But he just needs a place that he can recover because he's not going to be able to do it where he currently lives because it's odd to get up and down stairs and everything else, his mobility. So he knows that we're in real estate. Now, this is the first opportunity that we can help him. Does it mean that he's buying a home? No, but if we can service him and we can help him, this is also someone whose primary job is as a contractor, and he remodels condos on the beach. Do you think that if he has clients that are thinking about selling their condo, that if I build him and I put him in my core advocates group, that he's going to want to put in a good word for me and my business? Absolutely, right? Who are my former employees? Or employers, rather, my coworkers, right? My suppliers, my customers. What organizations, whether it's a church organization or it's a political organization, what other organizations am I a part of that I can find people from my Mets? So this is where we go through and we go, who do you know already, right? So we're actually going to take, we're not going to take 15 minutes. We're going to take about 5 minutes to do this. What I want you to do is I want you to be going through, and this is an exercise that we've done in bold, and so I'd like to do it now, right? We're going to take 5 minutes, and I want you on a piece of paper or on your computer, it could be a random email that you're going to save as a draft later, I don't care how you do it, go through the alphabet, right? And so go through the alphabet and go through your letter A's. What are the professions that you know that start with A's? So we have accountants, we have attorneys, right? We have appraisers. Go through and you go, and who do I know with B's, right? So what businesses do I know that are B? Who is a bartender, right? Who's my banker? I'm going to go through and I'm going to do as many of the letters as possible, right? There's only 26, don't worry. And then from there, figure out the professions. That's going to be the step that we're going to do today, right now. We're going to take about 5 minutes to do this. And then after class, the activity is I want you to be thinking of who do I know who already knows me that has these professions. So who do I know that knows me that's an attorney? Who do I know that knows me that's a banker? Who do I know that knows me that's a baker, right? Like, so we're going to go through those professions. So it is 2:25. I'm going to turn off my screen so that I'm not a distraction. Take the next 5 minutes and write down as many professions as possible. And then we're going to come back. We're going to do some ahas. We're going to keep moving. All right. So tell me, what were some ahas from doing this activity? Were there some professions that you forgot about? Were there some people that immediately came to mind that you knew were not in your database? Go ahead and put that in the chat box for me, please. So Bart discovered that there's a lot of regular contacts that he's been having that are not in his database. Yvette Burketto found emergency medicine. Yeah, I hope that your son is doing well and recovering well. And yeah, you've been in contact with some people in a new field this past week that between your daughter and other people being in the field, who do I not have in my database? Very good. Anyone else? Any other people that came to mind or professions that are not in your database that was an aha for you? Okay, Yvette also said teachers. Yeah, teachers are going back to school this next week. So what are we doing to love on our teachers and thank them for all the work that they're doing and definitely putting themselves at risk for sure, right? Where are we putting those things into consideration in our conversations? And will that be a difference in who you contact this next week when you're making your contacts during your lead generation? Linda says that she remembered that her list from listing these from Bold, looking through, she was thinking about who's most influential person that she knows, who's the best salesperson, who's most enthusiastic. That's a really great way of looking at it too, if you run out of professions with those letters. Genoa said boat mechanic. I actually need a boat mechanic if he's not one who only works on diesel. Feel free to refer me and we can give him lots of love so that he can refer you real estate clients. Okay, so this is exactly what it is, right? Your mailman, Linda said, please, right? I'm sure they would like some love here recently. This is the point. There are so many people that we interact with all the time that we don't actually think about having these conversations on a daily, right? Pam also said liquor store owner. Okay, Pam, well, I haven't been in a liquor store in years, so I wouldn't know what that's like. Her firefighter friends that take her football schedule. She has a volunteer for the new principal at her old school, and then also to reconnect and meet some of the new teachers at the old school. Those of you who might not know about Pam, Pam was a former teacher for many years, and so she does have a long-standing relationship with many of them, right? Absolutely. Good for you, Bart. So building your haven't met database. Well, who do I know? Who do I know with title companies who may be able to co-market with me, right? They might want to brand with me into a certain neighborhood, or lenders. Lenders would love to be able to co-brand with you if they know that they can get a positive return on investment. So maybe you start farming a local apartment complex. You know that the apartment complexes have a significant turnover rate. And you also know that 100% of the people who are renters are currently not homeowners for their primary residence. And so that's a wonderful opportunity to work with a lender. All leads that would come from that apartment complex that you get, you would want to send them over to that lender. That's a wonderful way to leverage, right? There's that L word, to leverage our vendor and allied resource partners so that we can be building our business. What other third-party vendors, in terms of the cost that depends on the vendor and the size of the mailing, who would want to be a part of the process with you? Think outside the box. This is also why it's so important that you're building relationships with plumbers, with electricians, with some of these people who might be able to help you in summer months, right? Working with AC companies that are willing to co-brand with you and help with some of that cost. You can absolutely mail to a large group of people and you do not have to have 100% of the expenses on yourself. It's about being in relations with individuals and with businesses so that it can be a win-win, right? So once we're building the database, we then need to feed it every day. We need to make those 10 contacts. We need to add those people to the database. We need to write those 10 note cards, and we need to preview 10 homes, right? Mets also do not have to be local. So if you have family back in Pennsylvania, if you've got family from somewhere else, if you have friends from where you lived previously, all of those things are to be taken into consideration. And yet what's so fascinating about this is that even after Ignite, it's about the daily 10-4. That is not just for the 4 weeks of Ignite, that is the foundation, that's the floor, that's the standard, right? That's the minimum. How do I have 10 conversations a day, add them to my database or add those notes to my database every single day, write a note to them, and then preview 10 homes so that I know my inventory. Expanding your Met database could be through phone calls and visits with past clients. It could be through school, church, neighbors, school hobbies, sports hobbies rather, community. It could be through your open houses, doing geographic farming or niche marketing to a particular farm. It could be for sale by owners, could be expired listings, maybe agent to agent referrals. There are a ton of people who are moving from the East Coast of Florida to the West Coast because they realize that it's cheaper here, the people are nicer, there's a lot of variables that are coming into play. And so building relationships with agents in Port St. Lucie and the whole Palm Beach, right? Fort Lauderdale, right? Vero Beach, all the different areas where people can come over, basically from US 60 south. We have a lot of those people who are migrating over here to the West Coast. If you actually look also in Command, you can see those migratory patterns from where referrals are coming from. You'll notice that most referrals that are coming to the St. Pete area are actually from within Florida. People from up north move down here, they think they found an area, they start to look around, they fall in love with our area, they made a mistake, now they've got to sell their place somewhere else, and then they want to move here. That story happens every single day. So doing the activities that we can to make sure that we're also building relationships with agents in other areas can be helpful. And then internet leads through your Facebook, social media, through campaigns, all the different tools that you can use to be bringing in those internet leads, right? So what to feed your database? We need to know their name. We need to know their home address, their phone number. We need to know their email address. And then if we have their business card, we can then know the business that they're in. Again, just as Genoa can make a connection for me for a boat mechanic. What does it mean to that person? It's one thing to be in her database and only be seen with a $sign on his head as a buyer, seller, renter. It's another thing to also be seen for the business that he is. And he can now look at Genoa not only as a realtor, but as a referring partner. It's going to just develop their relationship, right? Instead of just meeting someone. One of the ways that we can also feed the database is to actually get to know people by asking questions about family, occupation, recreation, and dreams, right? Something that we refer to as the Ford model. So helping you build your relationship more quickly by gathering this information can be, are they a buyer or a seller? What does their urgency look like? Who's their spouse, partner, significant other? What's their personality profile, right? Are they a D, an I, an S, a C? We'll talk about DISC a little later. But understanding this, when is their birthday so that we can just show up and put a smile on their face? What are their hobbies and interests that we can tag them in our command and then communicate with them in a special way on those activities? And then if they have children, what are their children's names? What's the age of their children? What do their children's interests look like so that we can show up in that way as well, right? We need to add the contacts. And then when do we need to contact, or when do we need to enter the contact? What does updating contact info look like? And then contact history. Communicating with your database in a systematic way. So understanding this process of communicating with it in a systematic way is the idea of building the one habit, right? Of the 3 hours of lead generation a day. Identifying those habits, prioritizing that habit, and making sure that they're the income producing activities around lead generation. Making sure that at the end of those 3 hours, typically the last 30 minutes is going to be updating your database. I personally like to have my headphones in, and while I'm having the conversation, I like to update my database. And yet maybe the last 30 minutes is handwriting those cards. It's putting the things in the mail. It's just doing the last finishing touches so that I'm actually taking the action and not just communicating or updating my database and not doing the actual activity, right? So understanding the way that we do this, when we first meet someone is through the 8x8, right? So 8 touches in 8 weeks. This essentially means that they're hearing from you once every 7 days. Once we do that, then we move into the 36 touch, right? It used to be known as 33 touch. It's now the 36 touch. And so the 36 touch means that they're hearing from you once every 10 days. So essentially from the beginning, they hear from you for 7 days. And then from this point until long after you die, they're going to hear from you and then the person who buys your database once every 10 days in some form or another, whether it's email, postcard, phone call, social media. There's all different ways that we want to get in front of them. If someone is a haven't met, right, and this is in a particular geographic area or a niche market, then we're going to communicate with them once a month, right? 12 direct, so once a month through direct mail. And then we're also going to layer on top of that through phone calls, being in the community, inviting them to events, things so that we can then meet them. So they will move from a 12 direct to an 8x8. From an 8x8, they move into a 36 touch. This is communicating in a systematic way. You don't have to make it special. You don't have to do anything outside of just making sure it's about the quantity, right? We will find the quality in the quantity. In the beginning, you do not have time to make a custom packet for each person that you meet. In time, you'll have an admin and they have nothing better to do than to make sure that they're communicating with your database at a high level. Until then, right, until we get to about that 36 closings a year, it's not until that place of where we systematically have about 3 closings a month before we're going to have that admin. So it falls on us to make sure that at the very least, they're just being reminded about every 10 days that we are in real estate, making that connection. Pam Llewellyn, real estate, Pam Llewellyn, right? We want to make sure that we're making those connections in their brain of who you are and what you do. I've already kind of touched on these things. So the truth is all 3 have a common theme. It's that it's overkill over time. Why? Because no matter how much frequent and systematic lead generation is emphasized, most real estate agents still just don't do it. Not even underdo it. They just don't do it. They'll do it once in a while. They'll do it when it's football season. They'll do it when it's Christmas. They'll do it when they have a really big closing and they've got extra money and they're like, man, I should probably put this money back into my business. It's not systematic. This is the one thing outside of building the habit of lead generation every single day, right? The 3 hours a day. Remember, lead generation is marketing and prospecting. So it doesn't just say that you're making phone calls 3 hours a day every single day. It says that you're doing lead generation, right? Your goal is to out-touch all other agents so that they hear from you systematically. They cannot possibly go anywhere without remembering that you are their real estate agent. So the benefits of systemization is consistency, right? It's predefined, it's predictable, and it's automatic. Your thought process doesn't really have to get involved. I can plan what are my 12 postcards going to be for all of next year. I don't know why agents are so surprised when Christmas shows up in December. I don't know why people are so surprised when school comes back together in August. I don't know why people are so surprised that Mother's Day happens in May. I mean, I don't know why people are so surprised and then they scramble to build a marketing plan around these activities that we know happen at the same time every year, right? So understanding some of those marketing materials are already there in the design section of Command. I really encourage you, if you have not gone there in a while, to go to the Designs tab in Command. There are so many different tools that you can now use now. Different templates for door hangers, for postcards, for emails, for business cards, for flyers. There's so many things that are in there. They are sharp, they're modern, they've been done at a very high level, and all you need to do is plug and play, right? In about 2 years, when everybody in this office uses the same thing, sure, you're gonna wanna get creative. Until then, you're gonna be one of the very few people to do it. You might as well go ahead and take advantage of it by being what we refer to as an early adopter, right? Same thing for 8x8, right? We kind of talked about some of the things that look like the 8x8 is a combination of personal visits, dropping something off, making a phone call, giving them some kind of item of value, and then a handwritten note. I love some of these items of value. So go ahead. You have access to this information, but if you want to, go ahead and take a picture of the screen because there are some really great content things. You can build a landing page for all of these and then boost them through campaigns in command to Facebook. I would absolutely do it, right? Do you want to know facts about expired listings? Would you like to know how to getting your home in top selling condition, right? What is the home buying process? Click below for a free buyer's guide on the home buying process. What is homeowner's insurance and your credit history, right? How to buy a great house, moving tips and checklists, packing checklists, helping kids cope with the move, and giving them a real estate glossary of terms that we use just so that they can kind of become familiar with all the acronyms that we spit to them and don't even realize that they don't know what we're talking about. Some of the facts and benefits about renting versus owning, right? Security tips, what they can do to secure their home. What are the 7 real estate truths? What are the 6 selling myths uncovered? All y'all know that Cosmopolitan, the magazine, found out that the number survey or the number articles, right? The 6 ways to make sure that your boyfriend loves you more. All of those things are easy for people to consume. They can see the bullet points. If they want to know more about the bullet point, then they can go in and read the full paragraph. That's exactly what we want to do. I'm going to rip off and duplicate from a multi-million-dollar company like Cosmopolitan, and I'm going to put in the information. If we know it works, why don't we use it? I really want you to become a pirate, like steal, right? Do the stuff that you need to do so that you can have an effective business at a fraction of the cost of what these other people are paying for. What are the 10 commandments when applying for a real estate loan? The 10 signs that it's time to sell your home. If that's not apparent right now, then that one's great, right? The 10 steps to selling your home, 10 steps to selling your home for sale by owner, and then what's happening in our area are all different items of value that you can create and then be able to deliver that to a neighborhood or post in a particular geographic area on social media, right? So you can customize an 8x8. So there's for sale by owners, expireds, following up with prospective buyers, prospective sellers, your geographic farm, or if you need to relaunch it, a demographic farm, if there's a particular group of people that you're trying to communicate with, your sphere of influence, the people you already know, open house attendees. There's an open house 8x8 smart plan that's already set up in command for you just to be able to plug and play. What does an 8x8 look like for new allied resources, right? Relocation partners, builders. If you have an IVR system, right? An integrated voice system, that's one of those, like press 1 for whatever. And then if you have any other customizable 8x8s that you'd like to create. We kind of talked about the 33 touch. So they do the 33 touch as 14 mailers, 8 thank you or thinking of you cards, 3 phone calls, 4 personal observance cards, and 4 holidays. I like for the 36 touch to be 12 emails, right? Once a month, kind of a newsletter this month in real estate. 12 postcards, so there's 24. I like my 4 phone calls, so they're hearing a phone call once every 3 months. So now we're at 28. Then we do 5 sticky things, right? So 5 sticky things are things that stick with them. It doesn't necessarily have to have adhesive, but that might be the thinking of you cards. That might be the personal observance cards, might be the holiday cards. Those are all, they can kind of fit into the 5, including your sports magnet or your to-do list magnet, whatever, all of that falls into the 5. So now we're at 33, and then 3 events. Right, so those 3 events either are going to be your events or other people's events. You're like, oh, but Michael, it's COVID. That's fine. Do intimate events. Do lots of them, right? It doesn't have to be just 3 for your entire database. It's saying 3 events that you can invite that particular person to. If we look at how we communicated with that person over the course of the last 12 months, did we have 3 opportunities to invite them to something? Whether it was lunch, or it was coffee, or it was a concert, or it was an event, whatever it might be, did I have an opportunity to invite them at least to 3 events? They don't have to go to it, but did I invite them to 3 in-person opportunities, right? Just so that I show them that I am also their friend, right? So succeeding through the 33 or 36 touches, the idea that we need to be consistent, we need to be personal, And then we need to be long-term, again, realizing that we are doing this activity until we die, until we sell our business. And even after then, our business, whomever buys it, is going to systematically communicate with those people, right? The 12 Direct, as mentioned, is a direct mail piece program that is targeting haven't mets and wanting to move those people from haven't mets to mets. Gene Rivers, who is a market center owner, he's also owns a mega team, owns a title company, and he's in Tallahassee, Florida. They have the Rivers team, him and his wife, Rebecca. He talks about a really great system that they've used, which is called the mail call C method, right? So I'm gonna mail the postcard once a month. I'm then gonna call, say, hey, Genoa, it's Michael Reedy with Keller Williams. How are you? Great, awesome. I just mailed a card to you that had some information about what's going on in the neighborhood. Did you receive it? Great, awesome. Did you have an opportunity to look at it? Fantastic. Did you have any questions or do you have any real estate needs this week that I can help you with? If the answer is yes, then we now go see them, right? So we mailed the postcard, I called to make sure that they got the postcard. It gave me a reason to call. And then I go see them if they have any real estate needs for us to set an appointment. If the answer is no, then we go, okay, well, if I can do anything for you or anybody you know, please keep me in mind. And if you don't mind, I'll check in with you in the future or from time to time just to see if there's anything I can do to help. Have a wonderful day. Super easy. And it's a great way that we're moving that person from, I sent a card and, you know, Marlene lives in the neighborhood. I spoke to Marlene on the phone. She doesn't have any real estate needs, but now I talked to Marlene. Marlene talked to me. She knows who I am on the phone. So now I'm sending her a thank you card. I'm putting her on an 8x8. So she's getting something from me over the course of the next 8 weeks. And then from that point forward, she is now a Met. She knows my name is Michael Reedy. She knows I'm with Keller Williams. She now knows I'm in real estate. She has moved from a haven't met to a Met, and she will get a 36 touch for the rest of her life, right? What it does is it also establishes a personal presence and a personal brand. So understanding branding versus junk mail. So maintain a physical presence. So not only am I going to be sending you a postcard, I'm going to walk my dog in the neighborhood. I'm going to show up to local neighborhood events. I'm going to be sponsoring in the local newsletter, the local magazine. I'm going to dine at the places around a particular area. I'm going to shop at the local Publix. I'm going to do the things to make sure that I'm physically showing up in front of the people that I am already communicating with, my haven't mets. Understanding that too frequent of emails is going to be perceived as spam. That's why I like just doing one a month, I think is more than enough. And also knowing that not everybody reads their email. So if I'm counting solely on emails or do 2 emails a month, 24 of my 36 touches are emails and they put me in the junk folder, that means that there's 24 times that they didn't hear from me at all, right? And then the most value add for the recipient as possible. So if you think that the email is boring, or if you think that the postcard is boring, you might as well just flush it down the toilet because there's no point. If you find it boring, they most definitely are gonna find it boring. So make sure that you are finding the value add that you can for your recipient so that they can feel comfortable and confident with what you do, right? So how much time does it really take to manage your database? We're not going to do this exercise as much as it is just having a conversation and realizing that managing your database does not need to be this big monotonous thing, right? It happens because you delay, procrastinate. It's the thing that you don't want to do. And then it becomes intimidating. Instead of slowly chipping away at it every single day and then getting to that place, most people just stack everything on top of one another, and that's what we don't want, right? So understanding the database duties of an agent. So what are the daily duties that I need to do around my database? What are some of the weekly duties? What are the monthly duties? And what are the yearly duties? Well, a yearly duty might be to scrub the list to make sure that we have updated contact information, we have updated mailing addresses, right? The daily duties is going to be based on the conversations that I had today. The weekly duties might be to just make sure that I've cleared all of the tasks that I had set for this week, even if it says it's overdue and it was set for Tuesday, just getting it done before Friday. Maybe my monthly duties is, I know that there are birthdays that are coming up this month, or I know that there's Mother's Day that's coming up this month. So at the beginning, I'm gonna pull my list, who are all of my mothers, and then I'm going to go and buy those cards, and then we're going to make sure that all of those people hear from us for that specific card on that day, right? This is where we can look at what does it really take to do the database management, and do I have it sorted into daily duties, weekly duties, monthly duties, and yearly duties, right? Communicating in a systematic way means emails, it means calendar, having a calendar so that you know, having their information for mail merge so that you can send everything out to the print house or to the post office, right? How to export that information is super easy through Excel as well as through Command, right? Making sure that we have the categories and that we've been putting people with proper tags so that we can communicate in an effective way to those people. So understanding it's time to use a contract management or a contact management system like Command. So let's ask the question, right? Let's go ahead and make this a live question. What is a contact management system? What is the CMS, right? Or what we refer to as your client management system, right? What is it? We hear of it as a client relations manager, right? So a CRM, but it is a CRM or a CMS is synonymous with one another. So Genoa said it's the only way that she can stay organized without having a million sticky notes. Yep, agreed with that. What else? What's the difference between a database and a customer management system? Well, I think that part of it, right, a database is nothing more than just information, right? A database is white pages. It's a name, it's a phone number, it's a how to get in contact with them. A client management system, right? A customer management system, a client relationship management system, right? A CRM, however you want to do it, is actually keeping a catalog and records of the relationship on how to actually communicate and manage that relationship with an individual. That's very different than a Rolodex. It's very different than an Excel sheet. I give you an Excel sheet. It doesn't tell you where I know them from. It doesn't tell you how long I've known them. It doesn't tell you my relationships with them. It doesn't tell you the vacations we've done together, the places that we've broken bread together. It doesn't give you any of the actual relationship aspects. So understanding the difference between a database, just information, and then a client relationship management system, a CRM, right, or a customer management system, is all about the actual relationship, right? So Bart says it's a way to keep up with contacts and to remind himself to take care of their needs. Absolutely. So there's a myth that says that I don't have enough leads to bother with a contact management system. I don't think that we have this myth. I don't think anybody here does. But understanding that most agents in the growth phase of their career are managing 20 to 80 leads at a time. With just 20, it's difficult to keep contact information up to date, as well as scheduling and completing your other lead generation activities. It's interesting. Some of you going live, going under contract, having a closing, dealing with inspections, you're like, yeah, I wasn't able to do my lead generation activities. Interesting, right? Because it's difficult to keep contact information up to date, as well as scheduling and completing your other lead generation activities. Implementing touch programs without an automatic system becomes virtually impossible. So everyone needs the system. If you don't have a lot of business right now, this is absolutely the time, right? The time to really dig into your database and building your system is when you have time, than when you're doing showings all day, every day, writing multiple offers. And even then, just do 10 a day, right? So understanding the benefits of Command, you can build those action plans, right? Those smart plans that we already have. There's marketing material. There's prompts to kind of remind you of the things that you need to do. It gives you contact information, contact history. It allows you to do your calendaring and your appointment scheduling. There's email integration and automation, lead sourcing and tracking, right? There's a ton of reports that we can pull about what you're doing. It's a web-based software, so you can access it on your tablet, on your phone, everywhere, right? And then there's the transaction management through opportunities. So the key to using a consumer management system is to use it, take baby steps, and listen to it. Listen to the actual system, listen to the areas that you're doing really well, areas that you need to integrate and you can be better, right? And then don't touch the delete key. Even if someone is being unresponsive, put them only on a 12 direct plan or put them on an email only plan so that you're still connecting with them, they're still having the brand. Just because they're not communicating with you doesn't mean they're not listening, right? Genoa had a wonderful example of this. She has a friend that saw her stuff that she was doing on Instagram. She hasn't spoken to him in a long time. And then the last conversation that Genoa and I had, he was thinking about selling his home, right? So don't think that just because someone's not answering that they're not doing it. I had another person in my world, interestingly enough, when we do Reedy and Red in the morning, and it shows like 30 people, 35 people are watching, it doesn't show me who those 35 people are. It also doesn't list every single person when they start to watch the actual live. So I don't know who those people are all the time. And I was having a conversation with a friend that I haven't spoken to in a while, and they're like, oh, and I love your show. I had no idea that they were watching the Reedy and Red show. And so don't just assume that because someone is being unresponsive, that they're someone who's not listening, right? Now, if someone does opt out, don't get offended, right? Some people just don't like the way that you're communicating with them. Record their request. Make sure immediately that you don't put them back on a smart plan. You don't want to piss them off. And then you want to get notified immediately, especially if you have anybody else, so that you can be courteous always with the people in your world, right? Servicing all leads that come your way, we need to make sure that we follow the fast track, right? So what does the funnel look like? We need to assign the lead, whether it's you or it's someone on your team or it's a referral somewhere else. We need to figure out the source. Where did the lead come from? So we can make sure that our budget is in alignment with the activities and the results. And then we need to track what's happening so that we know the return on investment on our leads, right? So funneling leads is the lead generation sources that are actually bringing in the leads. So how did you hear about us, right? What is it that converted the business? Track whether or not the leads are being followed up on, track your conversion rates, and then reward referral sources. So if someone sends you a referral, send them a thanks a latte card, take them to lunch, do something that is rewarding the activity of sending you a referral, right? There is unity in marketing, so making sure that all of our things look the same. We have similar fonts, we have similar messaging, we have the similar image in our signs and our flyers and our ads and our direct mail and our promotional items, our business cards, our letters and email signatures, our website or websites, right? Making sure that we have consistent branding is going to layer on top of itself so that we are communicating in a systematic way, right? We're going to service those leads through phone, email, websites, and interactive voice response systems. You don't really need an IVR system. I use something that's called Grasshopper. Grasshopper actually holds the business phone number for Leverage Desk as well as the Coastal Elite Group. This is a perfect example. Even if someone calls in, it tracks what the phone number is that called, even if they don't leave a message. I mean, your cell phone does the same thing now, right? It used to be on your landline. You used to lose people if they called and hung up. You couldn't call them back. We don't have that problem anymore. However, it's just another way of making sure that we're tracking where the leads come from, right? Assigning the lead, so making sure that a lead is put into the proper group in your database. Are they from your golf league? Are they from your church? Is it someone from the farm? Making sure that we actually group and tag them appropriately. Making sure that we set them up on the appropriate marketing plan, whether it's an 8x8, 36 touch, 12 direct. And then what are some action plan activities for you and your team members? It might just be you sending out that thank you card, following up with them, checking in, dropping off a packet of information about the home selling process, whatever it might be, right? Where did it come from? Here are just some examples of some of those tags that you could be using, right? Geographic farm. Maybe it's a name of a team member, so maybe it's Torrens Sphere. We have tags in our database of people who were a part of Torrin's sphere before he joined the team. And so, you know, what's the name? Is it an investor? What do we have about it, right? Some of those sourcing leads might be from past client referrals, agent referrals. Did they come from my networking group? Did they call off of a sign? Again, we really want to make sure that we know where every single lead comes from. Oh, they came from my open house. Did they come from your open house? Well, how did you find us? Oh, we saw your face on your open house signs and we get all of your postcards. We love all of your stuff. So then did the lead come from the postcard or did the lead come from the open house? What do you think, right? Making sure that we're sourcing correctly so that we know what we're spending money on and where is the return on investment. And then we need to track our leads, right? So making sure that we have a lead follow-up system, we know where the leads are coming from the source, and then what is the ratio of leads to closed business? How many leads from expireds do I have to work in order to have one closing? How many leads from agent referrals do I need to have a closing? How many leads from open houses do I need before I have a closing? Really making sure that we're tracking this information. That is where the database, that's where the transaction management, there's a lot of these aspects of where we're using command at a really high level that even if it's not perfect, and I know that it's not, it's still going to give you so much peace of mind that all of this is integrated with one another and it can pump out reports to help you, right? So understanding final thoughts is that we need to build our database. We need to feed it every day. We need to communicate with it in a systematic way. We need to service all of the leads that come our way, right? And so understanding and putting it all together, let's go ahead and I'm going to stop screen share. What are some ahas? What are some takeaways from this topic, right? What was meaningful for you today around this information? Put that in the chat box for me, please. So Genoa said it's the reminder of the touch plans that are already available. She needs to go back and look at those more closely and slowly chip away at putting her contacts on plans. Great observation. Thank you for that, Genoa. What else? What were some other ahas from this information, big takeaways that you had from it? So Bart said getting more personal information on clients will allow him to target their communication for them. Yeah, absolutely. We can show up better when we do that. I love picking up the phone. Hey, Bart, listen. I'm working on a marketing piece and I could really use your input. What kind of information do you find valuable if you were to receive something, a postcard, a newsletter, something from a realtor, me? What information about the real estate market or the industry would you like to see in your mailbox that would actually stop you and would give you the reason to want to read the information? Ask them what they want and then deliver it to them, right? Awesome, well, I really appreciate it. I realized also through this process, I don't have a mailing address for you. So do you mind if I get your mailing address and I can send you what I'm working on? And then you can give me your feedback if it's in alignment with the vision that you kind of shared with me today. You can make that call all day, every day, right? And now people feel heard, they feel like their opinion mattered, and they're gonna look forward to your mail because they gave you input, right? Okay, Kibby said that there's so many different ways to stay in touch with our database. We just have to find our style and work what's best for us. Yes, sir, that's absolutely correct. Pam says, reminded me I need to get new personalized open house signs, check that her branding is consistent, add to her database during lead gen so that she doesn't run out of time. Absolutely. Yvette said, setting up your 12 monthly holidays, creating this as a smart plan for each holiday to include a text message and email. Super easy. That is so awesome, Yvette. Yeah, you can set up that smart plan now, right? And it can automatically send a text to everybody wishing them a happy whatever. Hanukkah, Christmas, birthday, all of those things can already be preset. You're absolutely correct. Great job. All right, folks, well, it is 3:09. As you've noticed, teaching 36-12-3 doesn't take quite as long as it does in person. We don't take as much time clearing activities as we would in person. You already have 2 until 4 on your calendar. So if you would, go ahead and make sure that you're doing the activities. Use the next 50 minutes. Look at those smart plans. Make those calls. Do the activities that are going to move your business forward. Go ahead and utilize the next 50 minutes. You're already mentally prepared to be here on Lead Generation 36-12-3. You might as well go ahead and commit to it now. If you have any questions, I will be here for the next 20 minutes. And then I'm going to actually jump into another call. Go ahead and put those in the chat box. I'm going to turn my screen off as not to be a distraction. Thank you all so much for showing up at a high level. I really do appreciate it. And as always, dig in so that you can have the closings and the life by design that you said that you want, right? Okay, have a great day and I'll see you soon.